Hello and welcome to another episode of Mojito Monday's Mojito Monday Match Analysis. I'm Mojito, and unfortunately I have no Mojito tonight, but I do have a UV Blue and Sprite mix, going back to my good old college days. Usually I add lemonade powder to this, but still just as sweet and sugary as ever. It's very delicious. Highly recommend. So the game we're going to be watching tonight is going to be between Vegechops and AlexNavas. I believe this was the finals for Legion of Loom's low elo tournament. And so I think Veggie ended up winning the whole thing. So I assume he wins this game as well, because I think it was a 3-0. But yeah, we're going to take a look at it. Veggie is the Mongols playing, AlexNavas is the Franks. Let's check their ranks real quick. Rank Vegechops. Vegechops is a 1006 player. And AlexNavas is a 858 elo player. This might have been second semifinals then. But they both play very well. So I remember AlexNavas was a pretty solid player. So let's get right into it. So right away, this is going to be a very cav heavy match. Since Franks excel with knights and Mongols excel with scouts and Mangadai. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. I assume both people will try to go for a scout. Oh, and this is on this is land Nomad. Exciting. So this is where we'll keep Fog of War on now. But this is where they spawn no TC, they spawn their villagers randomly. And they have to essentially figure out a place to place their TC. So this will be interesting to see where this goes, and I don't know how. So we can see that AlexNavas is trying to run into the corner and get all of his guys together. Same with Vegechops. Veggies, I think you want to find a place with some decent food, some wood, and gold. I think that's the key thing you're looking for. And so AlexNavas has found a spot. I think Veggie's found his spot. Yeah, he drops his TC. This villager's doing a little bit of scouting and looking around. Scouting with the bird is really smart. So if we turn Fog of War on, getting some scouting on it, especially in the map where you don't have an actual scout, super useful. I found casting Age of Empires really fun for some reason. Dude, casting is a lot of fun. I want to start doing some more realistic casting as opposed to what I'm doing now, which is more analysis. I love analysis, but casting is much more entertaining than analysis, which is, I'm going to be pausing and diving in deep to stuff. So yeah, he's doing some good scouting for AlexNavas. Veggie is scouting as well with some sheep, with some geese, and a villager. I don't know. So I don't think in this situation you want to scout with a villager. I think getting your TC up right away to start using your TC is the most important thing for this. So I would have kept all three on your TC, get it up right away, and then maybe send one to scout. But you have so many goats or so many sheeps that you could, or not goats, geese. We're looking at geese. That you could probably scout with the geese, and that'll be fine. And eventually, once you start getting some income, then you want to send a villager around to scout. Could be wrong. Additionally, this TC placement is alright. I would have moved it into one of these inner tiles. Like, it's a lumber camp at this point. You want to move it in as close as possible, because that way you have a much better surface area to the lumber line. So definitely getting it in can help with it, because after you cut out these 3 trees, you're going to end up with a situation where they have to walk a tile to get there, and that's fine. But you could have had if you moved it into this little clearing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because it's a 4 tile. Yeah. So you'd have had 5 trees up next to the TC, which would have required less walking time and would have helped get you a little bit extra edge on the wood. But not the worst thing. Also, it would have moved it a little closer to gold. But you are close to the goats, which is good. AlexNavas, on the other hand, he should have nestled it in either here or even move it up 1 tile. But keeping it kind of close to these, I would have just foregone trying to get it close to the stone and gotten it much closer. If you could get it touching on the gold and touching on the wood, which I think is it's a 4x4 tile, so you could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Nestling it right here would have been the right spot, because you'd have been touching the gold and the wood, meaning you wouldn't have to invest in a mining camp. Because now you're 2 tiles away, and that adds a little bit of extra time. But and then when you need stone, you just drop a mining camp on the stone. Um, so small little things, but overall, very good TC placements for sure. So let's throw Fog of War. So he's scouting with these, probably just trying to grab this geese, which is actually honestly probably worth the scout. But I think getting the TC up earlier would have been a lot like just getting an extra 10 seconds with a villager as opposed to having to wait for 2 villagers to finish it would have been nice. At this point, I'd stop scouting with a villager, and then use this villager to do something, either build a house or go back and start getting food, because you do want the less idle time, especially in one of these games where it's such a weird start, the better. Because you only have 2 and now 3 villagers farming, you're gonna have a lot of downtime before you can queue up another villager. So, let's take a look at what. So yeah, AlexNavas is doing the same. Needs to build a house because he got housed, which is a mistake. But Alex is definitely at least has more on food and is going to be able to keep his villager production up much faster. Maybe and I've never played Land Nomad, so it might be that getting a scout in is better because you get more information. But I do think like keeping your goat, like, because especially with Vegechops' place, he could have used a villager to push in his deer, and then use the hunt, and then kept the sheep or the goose for scouting, and then he would have found all these goose around him and not had to go all this way to try to find more geese. And then get up, like, you could drop an early barracks if you want a militia to start scouting. But I think having this villager scout so early is a little bit of a mistake when you're not trying to gain map. You can't physically gain map control yet because you have no military and you're still trying to actually establish an economy. So a little bit overcommitment on the houses, I think. This just means that Alex has some idle time where building these houses that don't need it, but you may as well get them out of the way now. Again, Alex does have 4 villagers queued up, which is nice, but I think only building 1 extra house here for now would have been the smart thing to do, and then keep moving. So luring a boar, very good, very good. Switch to veggies. Luring a boar, still scouting, still good. We can look at the Fog of War, and scouted a lot of good stuff, so that's good. And getting a boar this early is really smart. Sorry about that. Whew. Okay, sorry. A little bit of phlegm. So, one thing I want to say is, like, if you kill your boar and you still have herdables, I'd recommend putting 2 villagers on this. 2 to 3. Just because 2 villagers will clean out this goose real quick, and then you won't lose any of that, and then you just shift queue them right onto the boar, and that will, you're going to have a lot of villagers on boar already, and so, just getting this extra handful of food from the goose before it rots away is probably smarter. If you see, like, top-level players, okay, so constructing a house. Okay, so Veggie's getting housed here, which is a good thing to realize, and he's grabbing loot from that, which is fine. Probably should have built the house earlier, but I don't know how I feel about building a house out in the open, and this is one of the problems of having this villager out to scout. Like, yeah, sure, you can build it wherever, but if you had the villager at home, you could use the house to kind of do a mini wall off, and then you would have been able to keep collecting resources, but right now this house is just out of nowhere and doesn't help you wall up in any way. It does give you a little bit of a scout, but the houses only get like 1 tile of vision, so it's not too useful. That being said, finding more sheep, always a good thing. And so for AlexNavas, I think this is too early of a wall. Like, yeah, walling is helpful, but your opponent's not going to have, like, again, this is a bunch of idle time for a villager that could be collecting resources right now. Additionally, okay, they have 6 on food, which is good. But you don't need all this house space. Actually, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm looking at Vegechops, that's why. Yeah, so Alex has way too much house space. Like this villager could have been spent getting more resources and getting ready for, or even just scouting. But building this house wall and a gate costs a bunch of lumber, which you don't have excess of it normally. And I'd rather have seen using this villager for something a little more useful. But Veggie keeps scouting, which is fine. Veggie has a village lead because he probably got housed a little less. But so okay, so good 5 on a hunt usually will. He only has 10 villagers at 7:30. Yikes, poor guy. So this is land nomad, so you have to build your TC. So you're going to be way behind anyways. This is not a standard game where you should be a little earlier. Easy to mix up, yeah. It's easy to see this and just be like, man, they really had a rough start. But so far the start's been fine. They're queuing up a bunch of villagers. I guess the good reason for you sending this scout out early to scout is just to grab all of these individual geese, so you're never gonna run out of food early on, which is smart. So I guess I'm growing to like the villager send a little bit better. But so another thing, yeah. Okay, so small thing here. One, he's doing the right thing with sending 5 villagers to get hunt, because with 5 villagers you should clear out the entire hunt by the time they head back to the town center. The hunt should be pretty much either fully expired or just about to be expired. Most pros will say just send 4 because you don't lose out on too much meat, and then the 5th one doesn't idle as much, but it's fine. When you're gonna hunt, make sure to always have 2 or 3 villagers be able to fire at the same time. Otherwise, you'll hit it once and then it'll sprint away, kind of like what's happening here. Luckily it didn't go too far, but that could have the goat could have definitely or the deer could have definitely sprinted farther away. So Veggie's definitely getting his scout on, which is huge. He is all sorts. He's getting housed a lot though, which is unfortunate, but so yeah, Veggie is definitely in the lead here. Villager count, though he is housed, and then just the number of geese and the amount of scouting he has is huge. As you can see, the score reflects that. Also, the problem is Veggie's a little more out in the open and able to expand, whereas Alex has already clustered himself in the corner. Which, yeah, he has a nice area, but once he can set up, he has his like primary gold, primary stone, vice versa. But once he starts trying to expand out of this, it's really easy for Veggie to just kind of keep him trapped in here. I have to say, it seems like deer are built exactly for 4. 140 food, 35 carry max, 4 vills. Is a vills carry 35? So I think one of the reasons you do it with 5 is because that way you don't run into food rot. Because you have to remember that you have to calculate in food rot. And so if you only have 4 villagers, they're not going to be gathering food, even though according to collection rate's highest with 5. Yeah, that's mainly because you're going to avoid food rot, I think is the key thing. So, but if Veggie were to find, so one thing that's interesting is that if Veggie were to find AlexNavas here already, like early on, he could wall him in. Like you could straight up just a wall here, like that's like 60 wood, and you've walled in Alex, and then you just build a couple archery. You could tower, and then they can't go anywhere, and they have only a handful of food and stone and gold to deal with, and run relic. And they're gonna run out of food as well. So that's the problem with getting too cute with your cornered. Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to get too cornered. So let's keep going. Like we could have looked, because like I think let's look at Alex's Fog of War. Yeah, they didn't find. So that is only the thing is that they didn't scout too much, which is the smart thing. You want to drop your TC right away, and they found a spot with all the needed resources. So it was the best spot they could find right off the bat, which I think is smart. You don't want to wait to find the best spot, because by that time you're already going to be too far behind. It's just unfortunate that the best spot they found was so cornered. And that's why I don't think the wall was the right thing. I think your goal here is to try to get map control or be able to expand, because cornering yourself is going to be. I think I remember seeing a little bit of this game, and I think it does come into play that Alex is so incredibly cornered. Because if we look at Vegechops' view, like he has good Fog of War, he has the entire map scout. He knows where all the golds are. He has a whole bunch of geese. He knows where everything, and he knows where, most importantly, now he sees where AlexNavas is. But like, he can assume he knows where AlexNavas is because either it's in this corner or it's in this corner. And so Veggie already knows where he can expand to, which is everywhere. So this is a very, very well done by Veggie to get the scouting information and keep the geese. Probably could have sent a couple more geese back home to try to keep the food income going. But, I mean, it looks like he's able to click up to dark, which I would click up as soon as possible. Okay. Actually, I suppose, yeah, with this is a little weird, because you're going to be getting a lot more food, I think, before. So this is one of those situations where build orders, even though they're not designed for 7, yeah, build orders aren't designed necessarily to function on a game like Land Nomad, but Veggie has right now 3, 5, 10 on food, which is fine, I guess. But considering how much food he's already floating, I would almost click up. Especially, like, one thing is, with Veggie finding out that his opponent's in the corner, you could rush feudal and just start trying to start mining gold, and just start making a couple archers and just start pressuring. Because it's like, if you just post up, like I said, post up a couple archers or a tower here and here, how will AlexNavas get out of it? You can't. Like, you just start expanding, you rush Castle Age, start dropping mining camps all over the place, triple or quad boom, and just you're good. So dropping a mill here. I don't know if necessarily that was a smart. Actually, you didn't scout anything else, so that's fine. Through here, yeah. I guess it's probably better than dropping farm economy, but at the same time, I would have liked to see Veggie has enough food. You might as well start getting some gold. Start getting some gold, because you're gonna be floating a lot of food. And well, you could always go into scouts, which is the right thing to do with Mongols. You can actually, if you're gonna do a scout rush, you with Mongols, since you've gotten so much hunt already, you may as well just go up right away instead of making more villagers. Like a 17 scout pop rush is a thing. Or 17 pop scout rush is a thing on normal builds. And if you had 500 food with 17 vills, then you should have gone up then. I don't think queuing up more villagers here is the right thing to do. But he's going to lose his goose, I'm sure. But I think that you should realize that, especially with the score lead, and now you've lost the goose. I think Veggie should have gone very aggressive here. Because like, if he had gone up a couple minutes ago, got scouts, and just sent them in here, that's game. That's GG. So, I think AlexNavas might be either housed or he's floating to get up to... Yeah, he's trying to get up to castle, which is the right thing to do. He is at the right pop. He should be going up. Veggie has enough, finally clicks it up. So that's good. Again, a couple minutes late. I would have definitely wanted him to go up earlier. But that is a found time to go up. I don't know why he's sending in another goose when he knows that he lost the first one. That's just giving your opponent more food. At this point, you know where he is. You know he's in this corner, and somebody spotted his goose. He's going to lose it probably at the exact same spot. Yeah. So he's just walking food in there, which is unfortunate. So, like, you keep a goose maybe to, like, wander around, like, patrol back and forth up here to make sure he doesn't leave, but you don't run the goose in there. Especially because, like, the thing is if you know your opponent's cornered, they're gonna be lacking in food anyways, because you can only have so much food in this corner, right? And you've stolen so many geese that you know that he hasn't taken them. So, yeah, he starts walling up, and this is too aggressive of a wall. Like, actually, I suppose it's fine, but again, he's just locking himself into the corner. Okay, so let's talk about what Veggie's doing. I've already talked enough about wanting to be aggressive here. Veggie's missed his chance to be super aggressive with a 17 scout or a 17 pop scout rush. So walling up is acceptable. A thing you can learn, Veggie, when you're watching this, is when you do build walls, try to be a little smarter about it. Just when you're dragging your walls, drag it part way, and then do a diagonal. Because this is, if you do a diagonal here, like this would have been 3 tiles, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you cut out like 10 wood, and you cut out a bunch of idle time that you have to spend building it. Same over here. You don't need this one. Like, you could go and delete this. Like, especially with these corner pieces, you can always delete them because you only need the diagonals to get a full wall off. Additionally, with only 20, with this pop space, use a house for one of these walls. And if you're going to wall up, complete your wall before you start double walling. So make sure this is all walled, and then this is walled if you're going to, before you double wall. Double walling probably should be either I already have my walls up, and I may as well reinforce them, or it's a response to an opponent attacking the wall. Double walling here is just, you could be using both of these houses to build here, and then that saves you some wood, and then makes your wall go up faster. So otherwise, again, I don't know if walling is necessarily too important. Probably fine, but you can also assume from the score, this is one of those situations where you can look at the score, and just assume that you're probably not going to get scout rushed. If you are, by the time, like, because you haven't seen them go, like, if they had gone a feudal already, then walling up is probably needed, but you should probably have time to get a wall up, and you definitely don't need 2 people to start walling here. Okay, so you're deleting some space for a stable. 2 on stable is very good. Definitely getting 2 onto the, if you're trying to do a rush, getting 2 on there is very smart. Also, if you hadn't sent that last goose in, this is the time when you would want to send it in to check it out. Once you're about ready to start attacking, you send it in, because this is where you can go, okay, let's send it in, and now we see that he's walled up, and then you know that, okay, AlexNavas is walled up. A scout rush probably isn't going to do too much. But sending it in earlier, where you knew, is most of that score different scouting? Yes. Yeah, so if we look at the Fog of War, look at that scouting versus that scouting. It is literally a third of the map, or a fourth of the map versus the entire map. So that's a huge amount. And so, yeah, the score might not make too much of a difference, but that also means, like, yeah, it might be from scouting, but your opponent doesn't, you can probably assume that your opponent, A, doesn't know where you are, and B, doesn't have a lot of food from all the geese you've taken, which you can put together and say, okay, that means that even if they were to do a very aggressive scout rush, they'd have to find me first. And because you've never seen your opponent's villagers or scout, and you don't start with a scout, you can assume that it is very likely someone needs to show Alex the auto scout button. You do not start with a scout in this game. In Land Nomad, you do not start with a scout. You start with 3 villagers and nothing else. So there is no village. There is, like, so I don't. This is my select all military hotkey. There's no military on the field. So you have, like, Veggie was getting all the scouting with geese and a villager to go around and collect the geese. So unfortunately, you can't do the auto scout, but you can tell never played it. Neither have I. Yeah, neither have I. I only know of it because I've watched some of Legion of Looms tournament. So we're learning together. But so if you're gonna drop this much farm eco, and you have, I would have actually, I don't know when you drop these. Let's see, these farms 174. Okay, so probably fine. It might be worth waiting for horse collar if you're gonna drop this many farms, but that is an expensive one, and you are out of food. And this is one of the problems with not scouting, is that Alex doesn't know if he has any more food. He knows he has this, which he can go grab the ibex, but so going back to Veggie, we can talk more about, like, again, the wall. Yes, it's useful, but I think you probably could have gotten away with it. If you really were afraid of it, just drop a pike or 2, and then you would have been fine. But I didn't even realize. The feudal ages were backwards. So I actually take this all back. If you hit feudal well before your opponent does, if you hit feudal and your opponent's not in feudal and you're doing a scout rush, you don't need a wall up right away. So I think that is 7 villagers being used to wall. That is far too many. You should be dropping them on, like, these could be making farms, they could be making a gold mining camp. You don't need a panic wall. So, yeah. This gate could have gone here, and then you could have just walled in right here. Save yourself some time. But, so you have a scout. So now, like, usually you'd want to wait for multiple scouts. I think, in this case, you could send the scout to go collect the last geese, because you know where the geese are. So go and collect, like, these geese down here, those geese, all these geese. If you go and collect all these geese, again, you're denying your opponent resources, so they have to farm up. And you know your opponent's kind of trapped in this corner, so there's not a lot of farm space here. And I think just going around with your scout and grabbing the extra geese would be very quickly useful. By the time you get your 4 or 5 scouts that you want to actually start attacking, he should have grabbed a couple scouts, or a couple geese, and then you can send them forward. So, you still have this geese out here, but... So, because then, you know, with extra geese, that means you don't have to get your farms so quick. And then if you don't get your farms so quick, you can put off or wait until you get actual crop rotation, or the farm upgrades, meaning that your farms will last longer and be worth more. And that also saves you wood from, each farm costs 60 wood, so you have all this extra wood to build an extra stable, extra houses. You need to make sure he's focusing on the boar for sure, but he needs to make sure he fixes his idle situation. So, where's his view right now? Okay, so he sends, there he goes. Drops a mining camp, good. So if he's sending all of these onto, I assume he's not going to have them all go on gold, but if you're going to send this many on gold, and you have so much wood, I would build 2 mining camps, because you only want, like, 1 at most per tile. So I think having 2 mining camps here would probably be smart if you're going to send all 9 to gold. Because that way they don't bump. Okay, so he has 3. Everyone, like, pretty much whenever you have 3 scouts is going to be when you can start, I think it's 2-shotting villagers if all scouts get a hidden. So if all scouts get 2 hidden, you would kill a villager. So usually with 3 scouts is when you want to send it, because the longer you wait, the more likely it is your opponent's going to have a way to answer your scouts. With his own scouts or pikes or wall up. So if you're going to commit to a scout rush, the moment you get 3 scouts, send them forward. Although don't wait for 5. If you need the extra ones, send them forward. Just rally them. But definitely seeing what your opponent is doing, because like if you send your scouts forward with 3 is enough to break down a palisade, but it doesn't commit you fully. And then you can find out that hey, your opponent's fully walled. You can attack this gate or attack this gate, and then if they wall up behind it, then you can just stop making scouts because your scout rush isn't going to work at that point because he's fully walled. In which case you can just focus on castling. So definitely want to send these guys forward earlier. Okay, so he sends some to farms, which is good. So yeah, sends them forward. Nice little note is that if you move, when you have less than 6 units in a group, use box formation because they clump up closer together, and they'll be able to hit their opponents faster because they'll all be close to the front line. So whenever you have less than 6, always use box formation, unless you're trying to avoid mangonels. This is unfortunate. That is always unfortunate when something like that happens. Hopefully you catch it, but you're gonna have to leave the house to free the villager. So, okay. So let's look at eco and figure out plans. So right now, Veggie is going for booming, probably trying to just get into castle because he's very close. So which is the right thing to do. You may as well just commit to getting to castle. Again, you have map control. You're at his gates. I don't think walling here is worth it. If you really care about it, make 1 or 2 safety pikes. And then make 1 or 2 safety pikes, and then also you could have used this blacksmith as part of the wall, but 1 or 2 safety pikes, and then you're fine. But like you have map control, You know he's down. So going towards attack. Fog of War. You know that he's walled here. You know that. You saw the houses. You can assume he's completed that entire wall to the wall. You shouldn't bother checking here. What you should check is down here where you don't know that he's walled. I think this is a bug. I don't think he should be able to see the farm because the farm wasn't up when the geese went down. But there is a much higher probability that he did not wall down here than he did over here. So I would have checked over here first, and then you could circle around and check this area. But I think checking down here where there's a chance that he didn't wall it, unlike up here where you saw the 3 houses. You like Veggie knew there's 3 houses here. You could assume that in this 4 tile gap that they've built either 2 more houses or a wall. So I think this attack's a little misplaced. Luckily he catches his scout. So don't get tempted. Maybe you're not looking, but if you see one scout run out, build a pike, but ignore it. Keep pressuring with this and force him to react to you. You got to feudal first, so you have more scouts than he does. It is very unlikely that this is going to be he's sending one out. If he's trickling scouts, that's one thing. He's very likely going just to scout, which we know, but you can tell by the score maybe. But if you send these 4 to start attacking the gate, he has to respond to that, as opposed to if you follow this one scout with 4 scouts, then all of a sudden you've invested into 4 scouts, and they've done nothing but chase down a single scout. And that's essentially just a free 50 to 60 food for this one scout for 240 food that are going to be useless once you hit castle. So hopefully you catch that, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're actually attacking that. So that's my advice, is just have kept attacking with these guys. At the very least, check down here, because you don't know what he's up to. If you'd seen that he's walled, then maybe. But, like, you put 2 scouts here, you put 2 scouts here, and then that'll just put some pressure on. So it shows that, yeah. So, like, again, safety spears are super useful. So you are making safety spears. Very good. But that means you don't need to chase these guys. And you're not making more scouts, which is the right thing to do. You're not committing to the scout rush, because he's made his own scouts. And then, yeah, so you're getting armor upgrades, which is fine. So you're getting an armor upgrade, which is alright. I would have just rushed the castle and get knights. Because how much does this cost? Like, upgrades are always good, but, like, you're only making 4 scouts. He's making scouts. You already know he's made at least 2 scouts. You've seen 2 scouts from him. And then you can handle that with pikes. So we're getting scale barding. That's 150 food. I just go castle. If you castle right away and get knights are just better than scouts. That's a given. Mongol knights might not be super useful later on because you want to go Mangadai, but like I'd rather just get the knights out and then, or even camels, and you'll be in a better situation. The other thing is when you make safety scouts, send them to where you are most vulnerable. In this case, this is not vulnerable. If they start attacking here, all you do is you send this villager, build a house right here, and the attack's been thwarted. Build a house here, attack's been thwarted. Even just build a palisade here. These pikes need to go where you're vulnerable, which is back over here, because you haven't completed that wall. So send these pikes over here, or out here. But when you make safety pikes, you want to spread them around. So like send one over. You could keep one here in case they just somehow break through with petards. Who knows? And then keep one pike in the back where they could get through here. That also means that this is also another thing where I was saying like you could have walled this area. Like if you just walled here instead of this, you'd have secured all of this resources too, and then all this space, and then it's much easier to cover that. Yeah. So building a wall here, which is fine. Let's see how your fast walling is. Oh. So if you're gonna do a semi-little fast wall, always build the near ones first. So this is a small thing. If you had done this one and then this one and then this one, so forth, you have the extra time that it would take the scout to run through. If you start on the left and then move in, this stays open and the scout has to run a little less. So this is one of those like tiny percentage improvements where a single second could have saved you. Like if you had been actually fast walling this, a single second could have stopped the scout from getting in. Because, like, yeah, the scout's probably not going to do much because you have pikes and you're sending them. But he's going to see what you're up to. He might be able to kill some. He might be able to harass you. He's going to force a little bit of panic and just annoy you a little bit. So that gets in. You send your pikes over. One scout's not going to do anything. He's going to harass his villager, which I think he's going to do. Oh, no, he just sends him out. So that's a mistake. If you get a scout into a base, you want to keep the scout in that base, especially if he has extra scouts, and it's not your like only scout. So AlexNavas is committing. So we have a few things to talk about here. So considering for Alex's side, keep the scout in the base, even if he sends pikes over and kills it. The amount of information you can get from this scout being in the base, and the amount of APM you can steal from your opponents because the scout is in the base, is worth the 60 food. I would keep the scout in here. Just because, and like you could harass this one vill who's all alone. Feudal age scouts, I'm pretty sure, should beat loomed up vills like easily. You should kill. That actually is absolutely the thing you should have done, where that vill would have been picked off. Like that's a free vill pick. There's no way that that Veggie can defend this villager, and you just got a free vill. You got an opening. He has to send another vill, and if your scout's still guarding it, you could get another scout or two in there. So that's this little micro area, which is the fact that he ran is huge. Here, now that Veggie has seen, he knows at least 5. So he has seen this one. He's seen another one run around somewhere else, and then now Veggie's seen 4 more. This is why you definitely want to force going into castle. So yeah, you have the armor upgrades, which are nice, but if your opponent is committing to a bunch of scouts when you are now fully walled, or about to be, go castle. He is investing a lot more food into this than you are, even though you did grab 2 pikes. But you build a couple you built your safety pikes. Make 1 or 2 more if you need, but you should be rushing castle. You could even idle TC. I probably wouldn't, but yeah, I also wouldn't chase after these. Again, this is one of those things where you keep these scouts attacking and forcing your opponent to respond, and then if he overcommits his scouts and he's forced to respond to your couple scouts being aggressive, that gives you so much time to get to castle. It may draw a villager out. It keeps him pinned in. So I think chasing these guys is a mistake. So now that you're fully walled up, get to castle. That's the best piece of advice here, is that if you're going to commit to walling up, then go to castle. So a little bit of micro. So this is where a box comes into play. If you're in a box formation, you're going to get a lot more hits off because all the people will attack at once, as opposed to having this guy having to run up to the front. And then also when you're trying to run away, instead of forming this weird line, they'll fall into formation a little bit better and get a little more distance between them. Because like when you switch, they do that weird little motion, and that can get a couple extra hits in. So again, at this point, he has 5 scouts. He's probably going to start attacking this gate. Yeah, you could get and if you this is one of those things where if you check to see 4 scouts with +1 armor will beat 5 scouts. I don't know why he's only sent 1, but you should send more. Additionally, you don't need to build the house right up next to the gate. Just build it back here, a little less idle time, and then it is less likely that you're going to have a hole. Because I think right here, this corner palisade, creates a hole. So I think like you could easily swing around and attack that with scouts and get through. Or even this, if you break this one, I think there's a hole here. Yeah, so there's definitely a hole right in between these two. So this is why it's like if you can see where the where the lines are, it's more useful than placing a neat little Tetrisy one. Just because like at this point, if you're going to like he has map control, so to speak, because he is committing heavily to the scout rush. You just want to wall up, and you have a gate back here, which isn't necessary. But if you need to get out, you just tear down this wall or something, or tear down a house. But you don't need to commit. You don't need to commit to trying to maintain this area. So this is a cute house, but it is a very bad house, and does not wall you off. Which I'm really afraid is what's going to happen. So I don't know how you only sent one forward, but he's going to get picked off, and that's going to be a very bad trade for you. But you send these guys. Okay, so you send some forward, and now you're at a disadvantage. And take the hill fight. Take the hill fight. Okay. So you ran away, but so don't run away. Keep them nearby, especially if you're sending your pikes in to help out. So you get 2 pikes to get a couple jabs in, which is good. You're house walling, which is you're doing your secondary wall, which is good. You're sending your pike. Whoa, what are you doing with your pikes? I'm getting E-trade alerts. So again, these scouts are so far out of position. They're not attacking the enemy. They're not defending you. I assume you just try to panic running them away. But if you kept them nearby, and then you would use those alongside the pikes, you could clean this up in an instant and be winning. But right now, running away and giving your opponent a chance to just go in and hit these walls is a huge mistake, especially now that the pikes aren't. You probably just queued them to go over here. But so house one. Please tell me you don't. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay, you got it. Good, good. So let's take a look at anything else that's worthwhile. So again, this is where if these scouts were attacking your opponent's base, he wouldn't be able to do this. But this is why, respond with some fast walls and you're fine. This is all fine. Try to rush the castle. You have a lot of gold. So unless you start making archers immediately, which you're not going to with Mongols, you don't need this many on gold. Take these off, make a bunch of farms. You have a lot of food and a lot of wood, but not enough food. You can even start grabbing some stone so that once you do hit castle, you can drop a castle. But you're dropping another mill. Take these 5 off and just drop a bunch of farms, and then you have a whole bunch of food eco for a bunch of scouts. And again, so you're waffling with the scouts. If you send these scouts forward, just to make sure that he's not trying to get creative, because like one of the things you might want to do if you're AlexNavas is just go take a forward mining camp or something, or a forward lumber camp. Just because you're so clumped in here that expanding is needed is going to have to happen at some point. So getting those guys forward will be super better. Will be way better, but otherwise, yeah. So hopefully you go up to castle the moment you hit. Here we go. Oh, you're researching wheelbarrow, but you can click up. Oh, so yeah, you lose your 2 pikes, but you grab. I think you get 2 scout kills, and so now this isn't too big of a deal. You have 3 scouts to kind of clean this up. So this is all fine. Like, it wasn't the cleanest get up, but it worked. So trade that. Idle villagers. This is all fine. Why would you run away? Don't run away. You have the armor upgrades. You're winning this fight. You have 3. Yeah, there you go. So you have 2. Send these guys forward immediately and click up to castle. So you click to castle. So has Alex. So that's one of the problems, is that you spent so much time kind of doing a few things that you could have clicked the castle a while back. This is similar to feudal. If you just clicked up way earlier, you'd be in a way better spot. Because right now we can look at this. You guys have the same villager counts. You have 2 scouts that are none, and you're also not hemmed in as much. But you're not as far ahead as you could be. Ooh. You could also think about trying to refresh some lumber camps or delete this one and then move some over up to here. Like, this is a very good lumber area, just because there's a lot of surface area here, and then also it doesn't interfere with farm space. So that's one thing to consider, which you're dropping your farms here, which is good. So you're getting your farm eco up, which is good. Getting your researches as you go up. Or actually, no, that's Alex getting researches as he goes up, which is going to be rough for you. So when you go up, if you look at how much resources you're floating, Veggie, you have... This is when you start grabbing your upgrades. You start grabbing... you probably want to drop an archery range at some point just to start getting Mangudai upgrades. You want to grab... you want to grab stuff like husbandry. You want to grab... you definitely should grab husbandry. That's huge. You want to grab foraging. And do you have your eco upgrades? You have wheelbarrow. You have double bit axe. Okay. Do you have your farm upgrade? And you have horse collar. I'd grab gold mining. Usually a very good idea. Especially because Mongols are going to be pretty gold heavy with Mangadai. But you could also consider dropping a couple people onto stone. Like pull the ones who are walling over here, and put them onto stone just so you have enough gold stone to either boom or get to castles. But yeah, hopefully you send these guys forward to go. You're sending them forward to go check out the base. Navas is still making a bunch of horse scouts though, but and yeah, your time to kind of force a response from it is out because he's still making units, and now he's trying to gain more map control and scout. But so I think the key thing is just if you're not going to be able to actually gain anything from it, like being aggressive, that's when you really need to just rush the ages and get to better upgrades. Because if you had been in castle, like knights just would have won any of that fighting over here. So I think that's one of the big things. So farm's exhausted. This is why auto reseed is really useful, but also, you know, you can just manually do it. So 18 farms is a lot. If you're gonna start doing, like, it's fine, but I would have moved some of these farmers onto stone, because stone will be useful, and you need, you'll have enough food to be able to support multiple TCs though, so we'll see how you do with this. Again, you have too much on gold. You don't need 10 on gold right now. But right away you start, okay, whoa. 2 knights, husbandry, 2 knights. How many stables do you have? You have 2 stables. Oh, you built a second stable. I didn't see the second stable. Where's the second stable? Oh, you built it here. I think queuing up this many knights is a mistake. Queue up a couple, but you want to keep the food and gold, like the food and gold for other upgrades, like so for some upgrades, or yeah, like your blacksmith upgrades. I would keep the food and gold for blacksmith upgrades because the 2 knights are way better than 1 knights. You also don't even have foraging. Oh no, you have foraging, but iron casting costs 220 food, 250 food, and 150 gold for the armor, and you need, like, that armor is huge. So I would have saved, because queuing up, what is this, 9 knights? Queuing up 9 knights isn't the right play right now. I'd queue up 6, and then grab your armor upgrade first. So you can have more knights, but getting that armor upgrade would be way more useful. But I mean, at least you're trying. You have a plan. You're sticking to your plan of knights. You deleted, like, yeah, deleting these walls. Like, people are afraid to delete walls, which is always a scary thing. But like, you're fine with that, which is good. You could even have deleted this house because you have plenty of pop space. But just give you a little bit more space to move around. But yeah, like, there's nothing too wrong here. I would drop down. Again, this is where I'd either you have the wood and stone. I'd consider trying to boom or get a castle, but you need stone because, like, if you get stone and Mangadai's out, that's pretty good. So send these scouts. So don't, at this point you have knights. I wouldn't I'd send one of these scouts to attack this area and just see what's happening, force a response, and then send the other one to see this because I don't even know if you. Okay, you have check down here. That's good. I must have missed that. But, like, seeing what your opponent's up to is what way more important, I think. So, like, making sure your opponent doesn't... Like, I just use these scouts to make sure your opponent hasn't expanded. Especially now that they've hit castle. So. And you see your opponent having knights. Oh, so he runs away, which is good. And it's going to turn into a night war. So if you're going to get into a night war... you could consider making some extra scout pikes to help you win the night war, or just make more knights and have them more upgraded. But you need the upgrades to win a night war. Though the problem is your opponent is the Franks, meaning that their knights have 128 health, and I guess you got the bloodlines upgrade, so they get better after Imperial. But yeah, so right now this is fine, forcing him to chase, and then you have 5 knights. If you're going forward, good. But you need your upgrades. You need your upgrades before you need more knights at this point. So I would have, like, get your upgrades right away. Idle. I don't know how I feel about this gate. I think you were fine with that without it. Because, again, If they send in a couple knights, this gate will melt. Palisades melt to knights. I just wouldn't even bother with a gate at this point. Like, make a pike, stand a pike right here if you need to, and then you're golden. But so still going. Again, you have enough wood and stone to drop a TC. I would, like, you have plenty. You have a huge food eco. I would drop a TC here. You could drop a TC over, like dropping a TC back here, and then doing a wall here would be huge. Just you have the knights going, and you already have, like, it's one thing to do an attack, but if you have resources floating anyways, you may as well boom. Especially with 20 farms, you're going to be well suited to booming with 20 farms. And again, you know your opponent's not running. Like, again, send the scouts over here to make sure that they're not trying to get out in fancy. So if you're going to take this fight, try to lure them on the hill. You may as well try to get a little bit of hill bonus, do a little bit extra micro. And just, because the hill bonus would win this fight immediately. But this is going to be a very, I don't know who's going to win. 5 knights versus 6. So you're going to lose even with 2 scouts, but they're half health scouts. So this is not a good fight to take. This is why, like, make sure you have your upgrades. And then, which you haven't even looked into yet, but yeah. So and then send a pike or 2 if you need. But this is where, like, being on a hill would be huge. Microing it a little bit would be helpful. But it looks like you actually might come out on top here. Then he has more reinforcements. So you're going to lose all your knights. You're sending more forward. So I'm not much of a cav player as a problem. So I don't know if sending more knights forward was the right thing. Again, you need to get your blacksmith upgrades. Like, if you got your upgrades here, if you had +2/+2 knights, this would be going way better. But your opponent's going to get the upgrade before you. So that's a huge mistake. And so if you have even numbers, fighting near their base means you're going to lose in the long run because their reinforcements take less time to get there, and so they're going to slowly gain a numbers advantage. So if your knight push here doesn't work, I just pull back. And again, this is why if you'd been booming, this would be going way better. Get a castle up, get stuff other than knights. Maybe a monastery would be helpful. A monastery and a monk to go and convert some of these knights would be huge. But we can ignore that. And a monk, like the monk, not only would it convert, but a monk can heal. And so healing a knight is huge because that saves you a lot of gold and food, and then helps you get the numbers advantage. So if you're gonna go heavy knights here, like you're still making knights, you're not getting your. You got to get your blacksmith upgrades first. Alex is making the right call, and seeing that you're committing here, he's trying to upgrade to pikes and get them. I would recommend, if you're going to switch into pikes to try to actually counter knights, getting a second barracks, get 1 to get your upgrades, and then 1 to actually send the pikes out. But I think I like what Alex is doing a little bit more. So you get a couple nice hits here. You take that fight. You take that fight when half of the forces go up here, and then you have a little free time of outnumbering your opponent. You take that and you run with it, because you're going to kill that 1 or 2 knights faster than they're going to be able to deal damage, and then that means that they immediately are lower power than you because they've lost some. Additionally, he should take that fight because he has +2/+2 knights as opposed to your, or he has 2 armor and you only have 1. So pulling your knights back and still making knights, I think, is a mistake. But send 1 to clean that up, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with that. So you can see, actually, a nice thing is that because AlexNavas went and scouted all this, he has these little geese. He should be spreading these geese out on gold piles. So, like, one thing you could do with these geese is you spread them to gold piles and just make sure that your either, well, first I'd just grab them back to my TC so you get all that extra food. But spreading them onto gold piles and then checking them every once in a while to make sure your opponent hasn't expanded there would be the right thing to do. Just give you a little bit of extra information. But so this is why you wanted the scouts. If you had your knights checking around here and making sure that he was trapped in here, there's a lot less that your opponent can do. Like, because your opponent's running out of resources. And so that's why it's like, your goal shouldn't be, at this point, your goal shouldn't be to break in. When you have your opponent cornered like this, when your opponent corners this himself like this is when all your entire goal is just to run them out of resources. If you just keep forcing him to only take wood, like, what could he have back here? He could have, like, yeah, there's nothing else he could have back here that is worth it. So you would want to keep this TC from going. You don't care about breaking it at this point. You want to prevent it from expanding. Okay, we're still good. My screen's flickered really hard. But we're only 30 minutes in. It's almost been an hour. So I've been pausing this a lot to talk about things, which is fine. But so we're sending the knights forward. This is definitely so this is why you need to have them on patrol. Figure out your hotkey for patrol and or attack move, and then use that, because I think this is, you're trying to move through them and they're going to get a lot of free hits, and that is the #1 way to lose your army, is to not have them on attack. Oh, I didn't notice you switching to camels. Camels are nice, except you only have one. Do you have one or do you have more? You have a couple. Okay, it might have been a mistake, but again, you need your upgrades. You need your upgrades. 2 knights would win this fight, but you're not. You also have the numbers that you should win this fight anyways, so I would have taken that fight. Because if you're going to commit this heavily to knights and camels, you need to make something happen. Because if your opponent's defending with just this much, they're going to start trying to boom, which they are. And then, oh, you dropped another TC, which is good. I don't like that TC place. I guess it's on good wood and you have protection for these guys, but I would have placed a TC back here and grabbed those things. But like, you should have been booming a while back. So you'll still have too much on gold because you're not using it all. So I think the biggest problem here is you're being too passive and not taking any fights. And then just not booming. You're not booming hard enough when you could be. So this is a huge... I don't like this. One, this is a very long wall. Easy to find places to break in. And then with knights on the field, like that many knights, this palisade will break down instantly. There is no reason to build this. Like, this wall is not... Like, if you're going to do this, do a stone... Like, commit to getting stone and then build a stone wall. But, like, one of the nice things about a TC is that you can just garrison your villagers and then they'll be fine. I don't like this. I don't like this wall. I think it's a waste of time. You're idling 2 villagers. And, yeah. So they're just... Yeah, so Navas is just spamming pikes at this point, which is the right thing to do. Because he's seen how heavily you've committed into knights. And so this is the time when if your opponent has started spamming pikes, you immediately try getting into Mangadai. If you get Mangadai here, you win. So this is why you should have been on stone a while back. If you got a castle up and started putting out Mangadai, pikes can't do anything. Going knights and camels against knights and pikes is going to lose you the game. That's a lot of gold units. You're taking a hill fight. This is a very... except you... okay, now you're attacking. But that was almost a very good fight. Because you would have had the hill bonus, which I think you're going to clean up on. So that worked really well, I think. Yeah, so you clean up that, which is very good. And now you have a huge advantage. This is when you push. So he's going to wall up. You keep attacking. Again, this is a very important thing to learn. Your win condition, again, isn't to break in. You can win that way, but the best thing you can do here is make sure that your opponent can't expand. You just took out his main force, or what you assume is his main force. If that force is gone, he can't defend his expansions. You need to, like, keep attacking here and force him to respond to it, yes, but send 1 or 2 out to go scout over here. Like, you know exactly where he can expand to, which is over here. If you sent 2 knights over here, and they're just like, oh, hey, there's a TC here. They're trying to build a wall here. You start pressuring this, your opponent expansion stops. You bring a Vill out, make a Siege Workshop here, throw a Mangonel at this, keep knights here, maybe even make skirms or something to harass the Pikey boys. but then you lock him in, and then he's gonna run out of resources. He's already invested a lot of gold into those knights, and you know that he doesn't have other gold around here. So if you keep him off gold, you win. It's not as fan. Okay. Oh yes. Wait, where are you going with this? Yes, yes, Veggie. Yes, yes. Do the scout. Beautiful. Again, I would have sent two. I would have sent 2 knights. And it would have been fine. Because then you can actually get a kill. Only 1 knight isn't going to do much. The other thing you could have done is split up your knights and start attacking multiple houses. Just because that'll spread out the damage and force him to respond a little more, whereas he would only have to repair, either build a stone gate behind it or repair 1 house. But like again, it's not too big of a deal. They're going to spread out anyways. And this, so when you clear out that huge force, oh hey, you're sending some pikes forward. You should send a couple vills forward and build a forward siege workshop. This is when you can commit to an all-in, like a siege workshop and a monastery forward, and do a home rush. Like, you don't necessarily need to do a full-on home rush, but like at this point, you have the military advantage. He's penned in. If you start pressuring with siege and monks, because like what's right now his answer, especially as Frank's, his answer is always going to be pikes and knights or camels. Actually, I don't even know if Franks get camels. I don't think they do. But in that case, you'd know that a monk and a mangonel will do wonders. Or even a battering ram. Like a battering ram here to start taking down some of these houses and get your knights in. Huge. So I think a forward siege workshop here. Because you have, again, you have a lot of wood floating. You have enough gold floating that you can afford to drop some more forward siege. So yeah, you need to figure this guy out. Keep scouting with him. Don't send him back. So you like, because let's see Fog of War. So you know that he has this here, but you also know he has a gold patch over here. So you should have gone and explored this gold patch, and you've gotten yourself 2 vill kills, as well as stopping him from finishing up that wall. And you'd have seen that there's a wall here. Nice, Veggie, nice. Sending that forward. Send these pikes forward. Send the pikes forward always. A forward siege, forward stables. Yeah, you commit to an all-in here. Like, you are booming too. Like, you keep your villager count up too. Where's your 3rd TC? Do you have a 3rd TC? Or did you sell your stone? Oh, you built it over here. Interesting. I guess that's fine. Again, your opponent has knights. This is easily raidable, and it's hard to defend with your main forces. You don't have any production out here. I would not have built this TC here. Again, I would have built it safe in here. But, like, at least you're building another TC, and you're going to produce out of it. So that's fine. And then again, you know, you're focusing more on your all-in right now, which is the right thing to do. So you're sending a bunch of vills forward. I don't know if 5 vills forward is the right thing to do. I would have rather seen, like, 2 vills, I think, is all you need. And then, again, this is where the other thing you could think of is, if you get people on stone, put 3 vills on stone, you're going to get to, or even buy into castle. Build a forward castle. Like, you build a castle here, you cut them off of his wood line. Build a castle, like, yeah, a castle just wins you the game. I think you're winning this anyways, because like this might be GG, because there's too much going on here. But so for AlexNavas, if he's in this situation, you need more barracks. He has 3 barracks, which is fine, but you need 3 barracks and you need a monastery. Start converting your opponent's knights, and then use the knights to harass the other knights, and you'll be fine. But he needs villagers on each of these houses to prevent them from going down. C's workshop might be nice as well, but now they're in. He needs a fast wall, but it's a little late for that. This should just be GG. That's a lot of units. Clearing that up. So this is a fun little micro thing. You have a lot of units here clearing up these couple of vills. Immediately, like, you've cleared up some of these pikes. Even if all the pikes were to clear out your guys, if you were to send these 5 units, like these 6 units, into where his eco is, just don't worry too much about cleaning up these house vills. These house vills aren't doing anything, and there's only a handful of them there. You send these guys into the wood line, and the wood line's dead. But I think this should be GG. This definitely looks like GG. Micros needed. But at this point, keep making knights. So when you have an opening like this, you want to select your stables, right click them in here, like set the rally point in here, and just start spamming spam a couple more knights to keep the reinforcements up. When you're doing this much damage, or at least send it. So actually, your stables are spammed here, which is good. But you should be making more knights. Pikes at this point. If you see that he's going all pikes, making your own pikes isn't useful. You haven't seen any knights from him for a while, so making pikes isn't worth it. Am I winning, Sun Quibble? No, I am not. I am actually I'm analyzing game tonight, Quibs. But Quibs, how is Bake, by the way? Remember, this is for YouTube, so don't be dirty. But so yeah, this should be GG. This should be GG. He finally got his upgrade, which is good. Building mangonels, good. Again, building a forward stable. Like, this is where you send these 5 villagers, build a forward stable, more so than a monastery. Like, if you send a forward stable and just start spamming scouts out of it, that they... How is what? Bakemonogatari. The anime you were watching. One of my favorite animes. But yeah, this is GG. So, again, then the other thing is, if you have this much in here, like, yeah, you're winning anyways, but this is where making sure your opponent doesn't have anything going on out here would be nice. You could send 1 full health knight, or a camel, up here just to make sure that he stops getting resources, because if he gets, like, the only win condition he has right now might be to, like, be booming, because like you know he has this TC, but you don't know if he has a 3rd TC, because like if he has a full like if this isn't his own, like luckily this is his only eco, especially at this elo, but like he could have another eco here, he could have another eco here, and then yeah, you're taking out 1 whole eco. But if he has a bunch of pikes over here, like if he has 3 barracks spamming pikes over here and he has full ecos over here, then you're in trouble. Like he can come back from that. But yeah, this should just be GG. You've decimated his eco. You have double his vill counts. Mangonel's coming forward. You killing more vills. This should be GG any second now. Okay, so don't send undefended mangonels to go harass. I'm assuming this guy is going to go attack this. But you should send this mangonel to go attack this TC. Because like I said, if he had a bunch of units being produced over here, this mangonel could get sniped, and then that's a lot of resources, and if you're all-inning, you can't afford to lose that. So, also, you're being hit by pikes. Yeah, so that mangonel shouldn't be attacking that. Mangonel should, like, right now, the other thing is, you know your opponent is going all-in on pikes, right? So a mangonel deals pretty well with pikes. So if you had that mangonel just sitting here, he can't attack your knights. So, don't run these. So this is another one of those situations. You know he has pikes coming for these guys. Let's see your Fog of War. You know he has pikes coming for me because they're not chasing these knights anymore. You know this TC has been garrisoned. Don't run these knights out. Keep these knights in here. Keep them, making sure that they don't get back on their eco. Attack the mill, attack the farms, attack the houses, but force his pikes away from the area where you're attacking, and then you can send your mangonel. Like you can send this mangonel forward to start hitting this, while the only remnants of his army are back here. So, because like this is just taking a lot of extra damage that isn't necessary, and again, you're winning clearly, but it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to give him any chance. This is also a okay, that's actually not bad because you have the mangonel, but holding the line like this, fighting in this choke points when the counters will win. So it doesn't matter that you have all these extra units, because 5 pikes will out damage a lot of these units, and it won't be a favorable trade. Luckily, this mangonel changes that equation because it just wrecks it and yours. But actually, no, you're running your mangonel away. So it's like, yeah, you can see that you lost a lot of units there for only a couple pikes. It's not worth it. Nice pick, nice pick, nice. But that's why it's like, don't fight in choke points. Use these mangonels to pressure this place you're already pressuring. Like, this isn't worth pressuring. You keep 2 knights over here and make sure you already know that he doesn't have many farms over here. You know that his main eco's here. And so yeah, you need these mangonels more so to fight these pikes. That's the more important thing right now. So if you want to actually deal with this TC, just send a ram. Make a ram and send it forward. Use these mangonels to deal with the pikes, and then the knights do it. Don't sit back. Do not sit back. This is where you can't let your foot off the gas. You need to keep pressing in. You keep sending your knights in, even if they get picked off by the pikes, but if you keep picking off vills, you're going to win. Like, again, this is already game over, but... Okay, so now you're sending your knight over, which is fine. Commit to something, Veggie. Yeah, knights here... Like, you need a mangonel to back these knights up. Because you're going to lose a lot of resources here. You have a lot floating, so you should be spamming knights. Drop a stable. Please drop a stable, Veggie. I believe in you. Mangonel. Okay, please use this mangonel to pressure. Okay, so you took down that TC, which is good. But yeah. So, small thing. These houses, while good to kill, because it can reduce pop space, kill these houses, and that gives you more of an opening to get in. Because again, right now the only way your knights can run in is through this small little gap, this 2-tile gap. Or this 2-tile gap. It's easy to post up a couple of pikes on each of these spots and block them in. These two houses won't give you more opening, whereas killing these houses means that your knights can just run past and then kill their eco. This is all nitpicking, but this is where, like, if your opponent had fully booming, then they might be able to recover from this. So, I think you're trying to, I assume, let's check your EV. So you're booming right now, which is the right thing to do. Did you build a TC right here? No, it's university. Again, more knights. Like, you don't... So yeah, that's why it's like, if you had the mangonel... So you should have been making more knights or scouts. Honestly, just flooding scouts at this point is the right thing to do. Go up to imp if you need to, but you took your foot off the gas here, and that might bite you in the ass. Because you lose 3... Yeah, you just lost all your knights, you lost your mangonels, and while you've done a whole bunch of eco damage, you're researching men-at-arms. You don't need to do a tech switch into men-at-arms. He's going full halbs, yes, but you have mangonels and you have knights. Like, again, your win condition isn't to kill his army, which mangonels do very well, but it's he's going to run out of resources. You know that he has no resources available anymore. But he's going to try to get a castle up. He's rewalling. I don't think men-at-arms is the right call. Men-at-arms into champions, like, that's just, I think, a mistake. So you're going up to imp, which is good. You're starting to mine stone, which is good. Getting a barracks. Yeah, I don't like the barracks play. I do not like the barracks play. I get it, but like Mangudai would have been so much better. Archers could have done it better. Because Mongols don't even get champion. Oh no, they get champions. Okay, I take that back. But you don't need a tech into that. Whereas like if you tech into archers, at the very least, the archer upgrades are useful for the cav. For the archer armor upgrades can be useful for your cav archers, and then also ballistics, chemistry. Those all are useful for Mangudai. There's a reason Mongols rarely ever use their champions. So, knights going okay, yeah. So you're checking, which is good. May as well start attacking that wall. You have that, which is good. Yeah. So keep pressuring. Here's another thing. So building these barracks as a wall is a mistake because it's going to force your knights to go slightly around and then back. It's adding a couple extra seconds that make a huge difference when you're trying to reinforce. If you had just built this one tile over and had an opening here, your reinforcements could come through, and that'd be fine. TC here. That's a very forward TC. I don't like it. This TC should have built on this side, and then you could have essentially gotten both tiles for free. So, he's trying to rebuild the TC, which, this is why, if you know that you've taken him off of here, keep one knight over here or something, or a pikeman, and just make sure he doesn't re-expand there. Like, if he's going to try to get back to that spot, which you should assume, just make sure he doesn't. Like, even if that forces him to send his halbs over, like, you know what his army looks like. If you had a knight here, just forcing him off of this, he has to send his halbs over. He has to send his pikemen over here. When he sends his pikemen over, guess what that leaves undefended? The rest of his base. So, if you know your opponent's trying to expand somewhere, stop them. Oh, that is unfortunate. Why did that stone, though? Okay, so now you see this. Micro, yikes. That's really unfortunate. Come on, mangonel shot. Alright, not bad. But again, this is where, like, archers and... Just send your longswordsmen forward. Send them forward, yeah. So unfortunately, he's getting this castle, which I'm really afraid is going to be dragged out. Like, you should not have let this drag out. Villagers, all these idols, they need to go build a castle. Like, you count. So if he's building a castle here, you counter castle with a castle here, or something. Perfect. Unfortunately, it's probably too late. Yeah. But you should be making another mangonel to try to pick these guys off. Don't run them. Don't trickle in. At this point, since you've lost that fight, you should just be gathering back here on the hill and get this castle up. Because you're going to hit Imperial well before he is, and you'll be fine. So you've invested Imperial. So, additionally, you built all these barracks and you're not using them. You have so many resources. If you're going to build 5 barracks, just start spamming champions out, or longswordsmen out of them then. And he's going throwing axemen, so you know that, like, that's why you need your main guy. But so you're going more barracks. I don't, especially if he started making throwing axemen. Throwing axemen beat ground units or infantry, so you know that he's going to start being able to beat your champions, which you're showing. So, yeah. I get it. So another thing you could do is get a onager upgrade, because your Mongol siege is really good. So get an onager upgrade and then take out all of his knight. Like, if you made an onager while he was attacking this, one onager shot would take out most of these guys. So this castle is going to be very useful, though. Additionally, him attacking this house is a mistake. He should be attacking that siege workshop, because that's actually useful and the house isn't. And so, yeah, make a treb immediately. Just treb. Like, he's not anywhere near castle. He's not in Imperials. Yeah, so trebs. Dope. You have enough stone to make another castle. Castle over here. A castle on this hill. A castle on this hill stops him from expanding. Like, if you get a castle right here, then you know that he's not going to go anywhere, and you're going to win. So, and again, you're making all these production buildings, but you're not producing anything out of them. So if you're going to make all these production buildings, just start flooding. You should be flooding. You have so many resources that you could flood everything. And, like, the trebuchet is going to be nice, but he could rush that down with halbs. He could absolutely rush that down. If you have no army to defend it, then what use is that? So, yes, this is fine, but, like, if you're going to build a farm eco, build it back here. Use these wood choppers. Build a farm eco here. Make it a little harder to raid, because farm is really easy to raid, and farming can go anywhere. Gold and stone can't go anywhere. So use these villagers to mine here, and then build your farm eco in the back, where it's less likely to get raided and can go anywhere. So I don't like these farms. I would have much preferred you to steal all this stone and gold instead. So again, you're getting all these upgrades, but you're not having any army. The worst thing is that you're going to get this treb out. You already have a treb. Do you have treb? Yeah, you have 2 trebs in here, but there's nothing to defend against the trebs. Defend the trebs. So you need to get your units producing. Because you have all these barracks, and you spent all this time building all these barracks, and you're not using them for anything. So that's kind of a mistake. Getting conscription, which is fine, but, like, again, if you had an army here, you'd already win. The key thing is, especially when you're this far ahead with Imperial, you have trebs your opponent doesn't. If you just build an army, even without upgrades, to defend the trebs, those trebs take down this castle, and then they're going to start taking down the wall, and what is your opponent going to do about it? Additionally, you haven't seen more than just these 3 throwing axemen, so you know your opponent's low on gold. So, again, this is just where infantry, like, if you built, how many barracks have you built now? You built 8 barracks, and you haven't, there you go. There, why are you making halbs? You haven't seen knights forever. Don't make counter units. Don't make counter units for units you haven't seen in ages. You've seen his gold unit. His gold unit is throwing axemen, because he has seen your 2 swordsmen. If you're going to make trash, just go ahead and make scouts. They cost less wood, and they're going to be better for Mongols, because you get the 30% hit point bonus. And then, or just make champions. Like, you have so much gold, and you had a lot of food. But, like, if these could all have been champions. And then champions will, they're 2-handed swordsmen. And those will clean clean up the pikes right away, and then your knights can actually do stuff. So, conscription's good. I would start making Mangadai. Again, he has nothing to counter Mangadai, and he's not going to. But, so you have enough of a fort, like, now that you're starting a flood, this is when you drop your trebs and just immediately start trebbing down. You get a third treb if you want, but you're being far too passive right now. Okay, that castle's fine. Again, castle this hill. This is a much more aggressive point. This attacks TC. Hey, what's up, Kilba? So I'm on Veggie's game still. There's a lot to talk about with Veggie. So, you know, it's been an hour and 20 minutes that I've been recording, and we are in minute 52. He probably should have won this a while back, but I'll be getting to your game next. So, Treb's down, good. Move these, like, yeah. I would garrison all these units in the castle, and then, or just move them over here so they're closer, because if you aren't microing properly, he might sneak in there before you, okay, so you do realize. But don't run your units in, no reason to, yeah. Another thing, very important thing, especially now that Kilbo's here, if you move units in a group, they move much slower than if you move them individually. So if you were to move all the individual knights by themselves, they would have their own speed, and the pikes would have their own speed. Otherwise, if they move all at the same time, in a single group, they go much slower. So you can see that this movement is very slow as opposed to knights, which should be going much faster. So that castle goes down. Very good. You're building another castle. This castle is very good. Like, I would have liked it here, but this is a very safe one because it helps prevent. Again, you have so much wood and gold. Start making Mangadai. Yeah, Mangadai. Push. You've taken out his castle. You know his units are, like, you push immediately. You pack up your trebs. You send these guys forward to see what he has. There's no reason to wait. The reason this game is still going on is because Veggie has waited so much. He's on 5 TC boom. He has full population. And you know your opponent hasn't expanded outside of this one. He has nothing. You need to push, yeah. So you push. Again, just drop another castle here, like leapfrog some castles. This is why you want to have your units separated, but take these fights. You have so much resources. You're floating millions of resources. You've let him get. The problem is that he's let him get to Imperial. Granted, he's not gonna be able to do much with Imperial, but just take these fights. You have reinforcements coming in, or you only have. Oh my God, Veggie. If you build all these production buildings, use them. Shift T, or select all your barracks. Right click up front and just spam a bunch of champions. Select all your stables. Spam with a bunch of scouts. Select your castles. Spam Mangadai. Spam rams from your siege workshop. Like, you have so much. You have so many units. You also don't need to be making so many vills. You've maxed out 120 vills is a sweet spot, and you can save all your food for other stuff. But like, this game should be over a while back. If you just like, you can take these fights because you have so much resources that you can just flood it. But Elite Mangadai, so if you're going to get an Elite Mangadai upgrade, clear out your queue first, because that's just going to take forever. I would just get your upgrades sooner than later. But you don't need to be waiting. You do not need to be waiting. You know what he has. So, use all of your buildings. And stop making villagers. You do not need 150 villagers, holy shit. 140 villagers. Beautiful. But like, you have so many resources. You can just spam 100 pikemen and win this fight. So, yeah. Okay, so if you're gonna send Mangadai here, you should use these Mangadai to pressure. Because like, what's he gonna do about your Mangadai? He's gonna send some units over here. Just hide the Mangadai in the castle. Like, you should be, yeah. So you go and raid. Don't bother chasing. Who cares? It's 3 knights. You have some Mangadai. Send some Mangadai to go fight those knights. Yeah, use these trebuchets. You should be attacking. Rams upgrade. The drills upgrade would be really good here. Just keep. You are not utilizing all your production buildings. You've at least made all the production buildings, but if you just use your production buildings, you'd have won already. And now he's sent 3 knights, and they have dragged all of these guys out. That is a colossal waste of time. So, this is why, like, yeah, you're gonna hit 200 population, and you should just be attacking. These trebs need to be doing something. You could be trebbing down these houses. How is he going to take down these trebs? You take down these houses, and he has to rebuild pop space. This castle, yeah, like, he's building a defensive castle here, which is fine. But, like, again, start being aggressive. Make things happen. You can see how slow they are when they're walking with another unit. They're walking with a... I don't even know what they're walking with, but they're walking with something, and that is causing... Oh, probably all selected there, but... So, like, yeah, you should have won this by now. So we're just going to go fast forward a little bit until you actually attack. Just send the traps forward. Okay, you have Mangadai. Excellent. What are you going to do with him? Run them into a cast. Come on, Veg. There you go, Veggie. Send forward. Yeah, like, you have Mangadai. Just... This is easily game. You barely need to even micro this. And you just run it. There you go. Yep. So, Veggie, the key thing is that when you have A, use your production buildings. B, when you have the advantage, press on it. C, don't let up. If you have such a huge advantage and you can all in, like you were doing an all in and then you backed off. If you're gonna all in like that, commit, because you could have won the game there. You could have used your mangonels to really pressure in, and yeah, it was a very good game, but there's a better player will punish you for taking your foot off the gas. So overall, that was a very nice game, and I could, like, you played very well, but there was about, like, this recording is almost an hour and a half long, 30 minutes longer than the game. You could have won by, like, minute 30 easily. I think you could have even won in, not feudal, but you could have won in castle. Like, if you had gone early and stuff, you could have won in castle easily. So you played the early game very well. But yeah, so good game. We can look at statistics real quick. Yeah, eco crushed it, military crushed it. You could have. Did you grab any relics? So you could have dropped a monk and grabbed relics as well, since you had full map control. But villager high, too many vills, but you know, you're fine. Yeah, so like you can see by the timeline, you should have won this many times before. Like here, when they have no military like that and you had an opening, you should have just gone all in. So otherwise, that was a good game. So this will hopefully show up on YouTube. This has been another episode of Mojito Monday match analysis. If you join my Discord down below, you can submit your own AoE2 replays and to the AoE2 match analysis channel, and I will take a look at them and try to analyze as many as I can, and hopefully we can all learn. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.